So we're going to quickly start off today with Sudhir giving a 1 minute intro of himself, and then we'll go to Sajith, and let's have an interesting session, gentlemen. And Lady Shivangi is also here. So let's move on. Sudhir, all yours.
Yeah, so good evening to all of you from Colombo, and I am Sudheer Vijayratna. So actually, I am taking part of as a makeup artist and a wedding photographer. So mostly known as a Moa photographer in here in Colombo. So actually, I touched both the bridal part and the photography. So it's a really nice and interesting field so far. It's really interesting, and I have been in the industry for almost 15 years now. So that's how it goes, Arvind. So
Superb. Sudhir comes with a lot of experience. I had the privilege of doing an Insta live with him, and it came out really, really well. For the people who haven't seen it, just go to our page, Espousal.0 and have a look at it. Very, very nice.
thank you.
Let's quickly move on to Sajit. Sajit is from Bangalore and from Kairos Visual Arts. Quick intro from you, Sajit.
Hey, hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sajith. Compared to Sudhi, I mean, you can call me a newbie into the industry. I've been a software engineer for approximately 20 years or so. I picked up photography as a hobby, to get rid of the mundane routines of a typical software engineer's life. I started off this as a passion, where we the society where I stay, we have people from all over the states in India. So we used to have a lot of big cultural gatherings like Ganesha festivals, whether it's Holi or whatever. So I started clicking those events, and then some of my friends encouraged me you know to make it as a professional hobby. And before I knew, I had purchased tons of worth of equipments, and then I realized, with all these equipments, why cannot I do something where I can convert this into orders, and get into a more of a commercial side of shoots. Coming to my genre of photography, though I started off as event photographers, covering the major events which happened across Bangalore for forum groups. Uh, I kind of now specialize in fashion than wedding photography. Wedding photography has its own challenges, which I'm sure we'll be going through at a later point in time. Um, some of the genres I have been working right now is fashion, product, food, um, events, weddings, of course, and also boudoir and noir. So these are the genres I currently engage myself with.
Superb, absolutely. Sajid is very modest in terms of the kind of work that he does. I'm totally aware of that. I follow him and see his work. Really, really good stuff. But moving on, gentlemen, let's quickly look at wedding photography, and let's look at a corporate or any other kind of function photography. How would we differentiate, say, wedding photography from what we do for corporate or any other function? Over to you, Sudhir.
Yes, actually, it's kind of one of the most important. It could be the best and most important event in the life, like getting married and the celebration of the weddings with the kinfolks and the, relatives and friends. So it will cherish for a lifetime, actually, undoubtedly. So it is the biggest moment of a kind of a bride's life. So that is the fact actually we have to consider when we are talking about the wedding photography. so it gonna last for a lifetime. So you have to capture the moments that are much important and which gonna be gone for a like forever, but you have the memory once you capture the best timing and get the like expressions and the moments, happiness. So that is a kind of really important part of the wedding photography. So considering about the other kind of like product photography or the nature photography, so you might have a couple of times, so many times to capture a same moment, but in the wedding photography that we have to be very accurate and very keen to capture the best moments.
Right. Sudhir specializes in weddings, whereas Sajit is now doing a lot of product stuff also. So maybe
Yeah,
Sajit,
actually, one thing I have to tell Sajith, actually, it's not a kind of any obligation or anything. I mean, you might have experienced these different scenarios when you are coming to the wedding. So you have to be very keen about the moments and expressions. So that's gonna last for a lifetime.
right, right, right. Sajid, there's a lot of candid stuff. I know about that, and maybe you can tell us, Sajid, from weddings to product to corporate, since you have done the entire gamut. How do you see the differences between these kinds of photography?
Yeah. So mainly, the key differential aspect amongst all these genres is the mood. We photographers call it as mood board, right? So when it comes to product, everything is predefined. When it comes to corporate, uh, you're not really looking at the candidness of the event. It's basically how professionally you capture an event. And when it comes to weddings or birthdays or proposals, engagements, everything is very personal there, right? And as a candid photographer, uh, compared to a traditional photographer, you cannot miss a moment, and there are no retakes when it comes to any personal events like weddings. I remember shooting one of the. I also do video, so I was asked to cover one proposal, wedding proposal. So at least in weddings, you can ask the bride and the groom to pose, or even the family members to pose. But when it comes to a proposal, uh, there was a lot of nervousness in the air, and there is a lot of surprises because the girl didn't have a clue that the guy is going to propose today, right?
Oh, oh, that
So
sounds like fun. Okay.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it was there was a lot of excitement, and at the same time, we as a photographer didn't want to make it look like a staged event,
Mhm.
and at the same time we had to keep it very personal, and we had to keep that personal space for both the couple, right? I mean, it should not be like, the guy who's proposing, and I stand right next to him or behind his shoulder, right? And we also had to keep our distance and give them that personal space and comfort where they are able to emote freely. And that's the success of a candid photographer, just making them not realize that their emotions are being captured. And when it comes to things like these proposals, there are no retakes. So that was one of the major challenge. I mean, I would say one of the best um, work I have taken, because everything had to be one shot. There was no cuts, retakes, anything.
Fantastic. So I guess the key differentiator of what Sudhir and Sajid both are saying is the candidness of wedding photography or videography, where people are quite unaware that they're being shot and it's going to be on tape or film, as the case may be. Absolutely superb. And thank you once again, Sudhir and Sajid, for being here in the Espousal room. As everybody is aware, Espousal is now gone international, and we're doing an international version. In February of 2022, we have done two versions already. We have some great crowd over here. We have Ananya, Anvesha, Nandita. Anybody wants to ask any questions, please feel free, put up your hand, and Rohan will let you in, and we can take that forward. But Sajid, tell me more about we spoke about product, we spoke about candid, we spoke about weddings, we spoke about other kinds of photography. But what else? Can you give me a few more examples of the kinds of photography that are there in the market?
Yeah, I mean, we all know the latest trends on save the date for weddings. If you're looking wedding as a genre, there's a lot of things which comes with the package these days, which is pre-weds, as you all might know. That's been there for a very long time. And the next thing is about the post-wedding, where the couple goes on a vacation, and we as photographer need to accompany them, give them their personal space, but still have a post-wedding kind of uh, video. And these are some of the upcoming trends, and in certain cases, when it comes to destination wedding, which i have I have been lucky enough to get one, destination wedding. uh, it becomes more of a docu series, right? And where you are with the family at least couple of days before the actual event, and you kind of make a teaser to the run up to the event. I mean, the space and the opportunities in and around wedding photography or videography has been expanding. So that's on the wedding aspect. When it comes to product, it's all about your creativity and what you want to, from a very typical commercial e-com shoot to something very creative where you need to let the audience know what exactly this product is talking about. And that comes into in certain cases that becomes a very challenging assignment, though it may be very simple to look at. And
Right,
when it
right.
comes to opportunities, yes, another area where I have been working is on the real estate, or let's say interiors. It's a very
Okay.
interesting assignment where you get to work with some of the major interior designers or building designers, where we need to capture whether it's a shopping mall, a home. Each has its own specific requirement. So that is also an upcoming area where more and more business is moving to online platforms, where they showcase their work on online platforms, all these interior designers. Because many of the times what we see is the actual purchaser of a particular flat, to give you an example, may not be even in India, and they might choose an interior designer based on the kind of work they've done on other houses. And the best place to showcase this is through an online platform, and they would really require a skilled uh, photographer to capture the interior designs, and also at certain occasions a walkthrough of the house as a video. So there are the opportunities, especially in this pandemic, for a photographer has been pretty significant. Most of my friends ask what really happened during pandemic. Did you get any business at all? Yes, we took a hit on when it comes to events and weddings and so on, but a lot of other arenas have been open for photographers to explore if you're really open to try different things, like I said, interiors or product photography, because more and more products are going online these days.
True, true, true. In fact, I can speak a lot about the entire pandemic and the number of people who lost jobs and livelihoods. But I think there are equal number of people like yourself, Sajit and Sudheer, and I will include myself over there also, who have actually taken full advantage of this time in the pandemic and done various different kind of things to sustain, survive, and do much better than you have done before in this field. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, Sudhir, I will ask you this question about so you do weddings, you do candid, and you do some exceptional work that I have seen. But what else, Sudhir? And I'm going to come back to Sajit and you on this post wedding. It's quite intriguing. Are we talking about honeymoon shoots? But we'll come back to that. But back to you, Sudhir.
Yeah, actually, this You asked me about, actually, I didn't get it properly. Your concern, Arvind?
So Sudheer, I'm saying that there is wedding photography, there's product, there's baby showers, there's pre-wedding shoots, there's post-wedding shoots.
Yes.
There are various kinds, and now Sajith also enlightened us about interiors and walkthroughs and all of that. Is there
Yes.
any other genre of photography that you know about or you have experienced in the entire space of photography?
Yeah, actually, it is also relative to our field when we are talking about the fashion photography.
Right.
It is a very big, very vast area, and it has been kind of very because Sajith also pointed out that nowadays we all are moving to online platforms, and when we going to express ourselves, so photographs being one of the best things that we can express. I mean, we can sell our products, so we can tell what we are doing in the pandemic, so we can show what we are. So photograph being one of the best ways to show our work and get through to the people with possibilities and getting the business move on. So
Right.
photojournalism and the wedding photography being very important, but also there are many spaces like when we are talking about fashion photography or even the architecture or the nature photography, so wildlife. So there are a lot of opportunities actually, because even in a pandemic situation, so you can go out and take some pictures and publish on the Instagram or the FB. So we have seen a lot of involvement and engagement from the fans. So there are a lot of opportunities exactly.
Yeah, sure. Definitely, photojournalism is very large, and with the kind of channels and OTTs and so many of these things coming up, it's pretty much interesting for sure. Yes.
Yeah,
But tell me now, photography, I think in the last 10 years perhaps has really, really evolved from the conventional reel to the Canon to the all these cameras to now what have you, your Samsungs and your iPhones and the kind of things that are there. Uh, Sri, tell me now, to become a specialist wedding photographer, for example,
yeah.
uh, is it better for somebody to look at a speciality within photography and excel in it, or is it good to do all kinds of photography? What is your opinion on this?
Actually, the technology and the knowledge will matter the most, and your like talent definitely will play a big role in this event. And but being kind of a social person and kind of your personality gonna be very important when we are talking about the weddings, because we have to get together with the parties like bride and the grooms and their families, because when we are, as Sajit said actually, because we have to be involved with them for a while, even when we are doing a pre-shoot, and then we go into the wedding, and after wedding, so we might go to the destinations and the honeymoon destination. So we have to be a part of their life actually when we get into the wedding. So it's a long term relationship, and your personality and the social skills will play a big role as well. So, and the other aspects actually, when we are talking about the weddings, there are a lot of fields that we have to concern, like because there are a lot of vibrancy and the colorfulness in weddings, and we know as tropical weddings, and even the desi weddings, I mean Indian weddings and Sri Lankan weddings, those are very colorful events. So we have to capture the characteristics of those weddings, and we have to be very much keen and aware about the character and the personality of the bride and groom. So also there are plenty of details that we have to capture actually when we are talking about a makeup event. So there are a lot of details, so we have to be keen about the detailing and capturing the moment. So those skills should be complied with the wedding photographers.
Right. Talent and technology. I love that term that you said just now,
Thanks.
which is what is going to make you a superb wedding photographer, apart from, yeah, of course, your interpersonal skills and all of that. Over to you, Sajit. What do you think? Specialist wedding photographer vis-a-vis uh, a general, all kinds of photography like you do. What do you say?
Well, your framing sense basically defines your destiny as a photographer.
Wow.
So, I initially struggled, to be honest, to be a candid photographer until I found you know, until I found what frame basically depicts the emotions the best. So, Sudhi has beautifully conveyed what your role is as a wedding photographer in a wedding. It's all about being personal about what is happening and also being respecting uh, the family's emotions. And there are times when families may get little edgy when it comes that, okay, the photographer is taking so much of time, we have to rush, we have to finish. But there is a way we have to kind of convey to them that, these are moments you're not going to get anymore. Maybe your food may get delayed by 5 minutes, but these photos you will miss, and that photos or frames you cannot create anymore. So it's all about establishing that rapport. Be has very accurately articulated, building the rapport, establishing that connection with the parties. And in a certain occasion, I even played doll in one of the weddings just to lighten up the mood. And it was 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. It
Uh-huh.
was dull. The ambience was not so exciting. So all I was getting was people about to doze off and tired faces. So to kind of lighten up the situation, I had to join the party and play doll. I had no clue what I was doing, but I got some attention, and then I asked my photographers to capture, what people are reacting and how. So it's all about the attention to detail and what is the general mood and the ambience, and what you can make as the best from what is happening around you. And
Super.
of course,
Mm.
the technology matters these days, because the as a photographer you really need to know how to work with different lighting situations. And weddings, the lightings may not be in your absolute control. When it comes to a studio shoot, everything is in your control. In weddings and events, you may not really be in control of any of the lighting situations. So
Right.
as a photographer, the more you work on different genres and different lighting conditions, the more you get your expertise in managing light, which is the key for any photographer.
Superb. I love that term that you said. You need to have a framing sense. And that, I think, is what is going to make a very successful photographer, be it weddings or product, or you got to know what's going to come into your frame. And of course, lights and everything else is a part of the entire larger story. Yes. Superb. No, you, for one, Sajid, have, at least when I did try and get in touch with you in the early days of you being a photographer for some of our events, and you say that, hey, I do candid separately and I will do regular separately, and you have two different kind of people who come and do candid and regular photography.
Right.
Tell me, Sajid, tell me a little bit more about this candid. Okay, why is it that a candid photographer actually charges much more, right? And these rates I got from you, so I'll not forget that, than, than a regular photographer.
Right.
So a little more, if you could explain this to me a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, in fact, this is the very common query that I get from uh, many inquiries which comes my way, right?
Mm,
They would want to know what exactly is the difference between a candid photographer and a traditional photographer.
right.
Now, a candid photographer has to be always on his toes. I mean, as a traditional photographer in a wedding reception, he's going to pull out a chair, stand in front of the stage, set up the lights, and he's going to click people who's come and shake hands with the bride and the groom, right? And he has a specific time where he does it. Where as a candid photographer, you really cannot take your foot off the pedal. So if it's a wedding event, if it goes about 12 hours, as a wedding photographer, you cannot really miss certain moments and the candidness in it. So your eyes are always around the key events which is happening. Wherein as a traditional photographer, he gets his spot, he gets his slot, he gets to manage the lights and arrange the people. So and that is one aspect to it. And when it comes to candid photography, also it a key aspect which many people tend to forget is the post production of the images. Where in traditional photography, the basic what you basically do is balance. I mean, you basically edit the white balance and basic exposure adjustments. Wherein, when you go for candid photography post production, there has to be retouching done on the bride and the groom or the people. You have to manage the color tone. There's a lot more effort which goes into the post production of candid images. So that is why candid photographers tend to um, get a little more, or they tend to charge
Pricey,
more.
a little more pricey. From
Yep.
from an from an event guy's perspective, I have only one term for it: pricey. Sorry.
Yep.
Yes, Sudheer sir, you tell us about candid photography because you are an expert in this field and you do so much of work on this. Tell
Yeah.
us about candid versus traditional.
Yeah, actually, the most interesting and the most preferred part of candid weddings, actually, I mean, the candid photography, because we can let flow the function without any disturbance, actually, because we have seen many times that when we going for a traditional or post photography, so the photographer playing a big role there, and it's like they are directing the function, and it might harm the flow of the function, and that it might not give the exact mood of the bride or the function. So when we are going for the candid, actually, that we can let it flow the function and we capture the moment. So that is the most interesting part of it. So what I personally believe, actually, we should not harm the authenticity of the day, because it's kind of a very cheerful function and cheerful moments. So we should let them cherish. I mean, we should let them enjoy the function first of all, rather than we directing the event and mainly focus on the photography, and we are taking some of the guests or the bride and the groom to like a kind of a poses and shoot out the day. So that is a very important thing, and I think, as Sajit said, actually, it is very interesting, and it has to be very conscious. I mean, the photographer should be very mindful, and he should be very concerned about the all the expressions and all the moments of the people, and there he can hunt a nice capture. So that is kind of a extra work, actually, and extra concern that you should pay when you are going for a candid photography rather
Right.
than the traditional. Yeah.
Right. A quick one more question on Candid before I move on, because this is getting so interesting. We are 30 minutes done and I'm still not even halfway there. But I'm going to try and quickly move through, because I'm sure the crowd who's listening in and the people who will listen in as we go on, this is like a lot of knowledge that's coming through uh, this voice clubhouse thing that is happening right now. Quick one again, Sudhir, and I'll give this one to you. Is that I think from an event perspective that for candid photography, you must be shooting a lot more photographs, okay, because of trying to do the pick and choose later on the post production. So, what percentage of photographs are actually used in candid photography? That's the question. Yeah.
Uh, It's throw out to me, right?
Yeah, Sudheer.
Yeah, yeah, fine. So, in my cases, actually, most of the time, it's been like one third I have been able to capture the moment. So, like every time, one third I have to make the editing and have to select for the processing.
Right. So two-third is dumped.
Yeah,
Okay.
out.
Okay. Okay, so let's quickly move on and back to you, Sudhir. Is that so now Sajith was telling us interesting stuff about pre-wedding shoots and post-wedding shoots. Now I'm really interested in this post-wedding shoots. What do you guys do really? But let's start with the pre-wedding shoots. Uh, and this has become a huge thing now among couples. They go destination pre-wedding shoots. I'm hearing all kinds of things that are happening in the business, right? So some more light on pre-wedding shoots and post-wedding shoots.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, this pre-wedding shoots being really interesting, and we have a lot of opportunities when we are getting to know the couple. So we have more time and we have a more relaxed time to understand the expectations and the personalities. So because like couple of years actually, because before the pandemic, just before the pandemic, I just able to go to the Bangkok and this Phi Islands. We did a nice shoot there, and I took a part as the makeup artist and the photographer. So both the parts I covered there for them. So really, we enjoyed and we get to know each other very well. And because we had a shooting and this event for like 5 days in there,
Hmm.
so it's a good opportunity actually when we are going for the free shoot. So we have a lot of experiments we can do and we can get to know the personality most importantly, and also we can understand what they are going to expect from our side as a photographer, what they want, so they have time to express themselves. So it is very important, talking about free shoots. It's a big advantages there for the both sides, photographer and the couple.
Right, right. Right. I'll move this on to Sajith, and I'll also talk to you, Sajith, about the post-wedding shoot. And also, I'm understanding there are so many more questions I have on my mind. Like, do you guys help in? So you just said about the makeup. Do you guys also talk to the makeup artist to say what kind of makeup you require? Do you also choreograph the entire pre-wedding shoot or the post-wedding shoot? Sajith, over to you.
Yeah. So basically, if you like, Sudhi mentioned something as a key parameter, which we as photographers mostly would like to keep is the authenticity and the personality of the people. So I always go against heavy makeups unless and until it's their choice, because at the same time we got to honor their choices. We give suggestions if we think that okay, a smoky eye doesn't really go with the costume or the mood board which we would have planned for that particular costume or the place. We do give suggestions, but as a photographer, I wouldn't really like me being told to shoot in XYZ angles. I probably wouldn't cross the boundary and liberty of a makeup artist unless I feel there is something really odd in the makeup. I really leave it to their space and judgment. And because they are working with the couple, it's their choice. They would have decided. Sudhi, on the other hand, has much more luxury because he himself is a makeup artist and a
Right,
photographer. So
right, right.
that extra bit of space to play around with. But in my case, um, I have absolutely no clue about the makeup from an implementation perspective. But I
Right.
do give suggestions if I see there is something wrong. If I think the person is much more beautiful with a certain modifications on the makeup. But so yeah,
See.
makeup plays a key role, of course.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a
And
personal choice. I mean, some people really like heavy makeup. Some people
yeah,
very
yeah.
like.
So, Sudheer, is it advantageous, and I'm certain the answer is yes, to be a makeup artist come photographer? What are the advantages?
Yeah, of course. Actually, I really appreciate Sajit comment on this one because when he said he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to interact with the makeup artist or like they work when he's doing the photography. So that's what I have experienced in most of the Sri Lankan functions. Actually, there are some. Difficulties that we have faced when we are coming to as a makeup artist. Some of the photographers would like to uh, advise how to get the makeup done and how to select the saris like that. So we should respect, everyone's the job and the fluency and the expertness in the field. So we have to care because when they select me as a photographer, I never going to talk about the makeups and the designs. I just only get the idea what they're gonna wear, what are the colors, and in that case, if in case if they want any advice, as Sajid said, I will also uphold or I will give a advice regarding that one, but never overrule one designer's any idea. So that is very important thing that we have to keep in mind when we are going to do a photograph for a wedding. So we have to respect all the other vendors and stakeholders part. And
Right.
when we're talking about advantages being a makeup artist and the photographer, so when we're doing a makeup, actually, we can feel what is the length or the what is the depth we should go for a makeup, and how intense we should do with this skin, and what should be the outlook when we take it into the photograph. So those are the advantages actually, because we can manipulate those intensity of a makeup with the mind of the photograph.
Right, right. This has been such a great session and so much of knowledge that I have personally gained out of this session today. Thank you so much, both of you. But before we close, it would only be fair to ask both of you, and we'll start with Sudhir perhaps, is give us a wedding that you have done where you've done the photography, some experiences, some bad parts, some good parts, some funny part, uh, something that you would want to share with the audience over here.
Uh, yeah, actually, well, that mood has played many roles when we are going for the wedding photograph. So some of the weddings are very dull. Actually, we have to give some enjoyment or the some sparkle to the function, and some of them are very enjoyable and joyous functions. So we have to only take a part of it. So because once I went to a wedding and it was a very traditional one held in Colombo. So they have a very different taste, and they had like Oriental music played, no bands, so the no DJs, so all the crowd was like that, and so I had to give them some points, and I have to get them into the party when we are going for the photographs actually, because they should be smiling or laughing, otherwise it will be a very sad moment. So those things happens, and contrasting that, some of the weddings are very joyous, and they all the party people are there, and right from the beginning till the end it's very interesting, and we have captured many moments like that. So those are experiences.
Superb, superb. And what about you, Sajit?
Um, the best thing was attending your friend's covering, or rather covering your friend's wedding,
Okay.
because it throughout it was a fun event, because you knew each and everyone, including the family members, and I get to be a guest and also a photographer at the same time. So one thing where why it was so enjoyable is, like I've mentioned, I could join them, I could pep them up really well because I know them very well. So I think that one particular wedding has been one of the best weddings that I have enjoyed as a photographer. And the worst thing was when during the peak wedding seasons, you will have multiple weddings at the same arena, like a hotel or a conventions center, right? One of the worst things which which happened to me was, and it's funny too, uh, is that part of my group went and started covering the barat of another wedding, right?
My goodness.
Oh God, okay.
So unfortunately, there were three barats happening around the same arena at the same time, and the we took the shots from the house, and now we are heading to the arena, and I've reached there early. I shook hands with the people. I introduced myself, and I'm with the bride and the groom, and the barat was starting, and looking at my fellow photographers, and I'm not seeing anyone. Uh, so I had to, kind of hold the camera, keep clicking, and then make a phone call and ask, "Where the hell are you guys?" And then we are covering, and I said, "You're the wrong place. Come and
Oh God.
join me. This is a place where you guys need to be." So that was a hilarious moment, but and at a very nerve-wracking situation, because what happens in Bharat, you'll hardly hear a phone call, right? What
Right.
if my folks are there, very
Mm.
patiently covering the whole event there, and I'm not able to reach out to them, and I cannot be moving from this place because I'm the only one there. So,
Oh God.
yeah, so that was one funny, scary moment that I had.
Superb, superb. Actually, I'll quickly recount an incident of myself when I was about maybe 21, where couple of my friends and me, we went for a wedding, and we were eating the food. The food was really nice, and then we realized that we are in the wrong wedding. Uh, you know, And then I said, let's see. I mean, there's only one thing as far as I'm concerned. The bride is looking very beautiful. So we will hang around in this wedding and we'll go and shake her hand before we go so that everybody thinks we are friends of the bride. But yeah, these things happen in our business of event management, photography, and all the related services that are there in this entire beautiful space called weddings and events. On that note, Sajit, Sudheer, thank you so much for your time. I've taken 45 minutes of yours, 15 minutes more than I should have, but I think it was worth every moment for everybody who's listening in and for the people who are going to tune in later. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Nice meeting you all. Bye bye.
Likewise.
Bye then. Thank you.